Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Kalika and this is day 2 of Revenge Week 2.0, so you're gonna be a spicier person after watching this video. P.S. The giveaway is still on until Saturday, card in the top right if you want to know how to enter. Ma'am, your child is drowning? This is a cross post from entitled parents, so it's written with that subreddit in mind. A commenter suggested I cross posted here because of the ending, so here we go. I was a head lifeguard at a water park for 4 years, so I have definitely seen my fair share of entitled parents. But one entitled mother almost let her child drown because of it. Me is me, S is supervisor, EM entitled mum, C child. At the park I work at, we have a bunch of slides, a wave pool and one regular swimming pool that has these little plastic water slides that empty into it that we also use for training. The shallow end is about 3 feet and the deep end is 10, but the water slides empty into the 4 to 5 foot end. A lot of people underestimate the depth, mostly parents and young children, and find themselves having to swim back to the wall instead of standing. I'm only 5'2", so even I have to swim from that slide. Because of the depth, we require everyone under 48 inches to wear a life jacket no matter where they are in the pool. State law. As you can imagine, a lot of parents aren't happy with this. And though we have free life jackets as a courtesy, on very busy days we run out. But our biggest issues come from the parents who are convinced their child is the next Michael Phelps. On this particular day it was fairly busy and I'd enlisted a couple of my lifeguards to look for life jackets that were left in the cabanas, bathrooms etc. instead of being hung back up. A little kid came running to the pool and I noticed his height, about 2 inches too short, poor little guy. "Hey buddy, I'm so sorry but you can't swim in this pool without a life jacket." Entitled mother walking up behind him. "Oh, it's alright, he can swim." Unfortunately, because of the state law, I can't let him in the water without a life jacket. He's on the swim team, he's perfectly fine. "I'm sorry ma'am, it's not our rule, it's law." She rolls her eyes and huffs off, but manages to find her kid a life jacket, so I take my eyes off them and pay more attention to my zone. Regular irritated parent, no big deal. Fast forward about 10 minutes, and I see this kid climb up the slide. It's the child, so I whistle at him and take him to his mother and again say, "Ma'am, I understand he can probably swim, but he cannot go down the slide or go into the pool without a life jacket." "Absolutely not, I am not putting that death trap back on my child." "I understand, but he can swim perfectly fine, he's on a swim team, he's fine." Me beginning to get irritated. "I legally cannot let your child touch that water if he does not have a life jacket on." "No, it was choking him. I will not have my child choking and dying. Goodbye!" I almost cracked up, but she'd walked off, dragging her kid with her, so I rolled my eyes and didn't think anything of it. Every 20 or 30 minutes, we rotate positions as lifeguards to keep our eyes fresh and our energy up. So our lovely entitled mother decided to wait until we rotated to try and bring her child back. Unfortunately for her, I just moved to the other side of the pool. About 10 minutes into the rotation, I noticed a distressed swimmer, swimming but clearly struggling and barely moving. It's the stage before active drowning, about 5 feet from the slide. I whistle, jump in, yank the swimmer onto my tube and lo and behold, it's the same child. Now, I'm mad, but not as mad as entitled mother. She's sitting in a lounge chair on the side of the pool, not paying attention at all. Side note parents, lifeguards are not your babysitters. I help the kid out and drag him to his mother. "Ma'am, this is the 3rd time I have tried to talk to you. Your child almost drowned in the pool because he..." "Did you just touch my child?" "I rescued your child. I did not give you permission to save my child. You had no right to touch him. You should have asked me first before just grabbing him like that." "I didn't see you anywhere. You were not watching your child, so I had to make a decision." "Yes, I was. He was swimming fine. How dare you save him just to prove your point? Just admit. You're on a little lifeguard power trip. I want to speak to your supervisor." I love when people want to speak to a supervisor because at this water park, they are almost always on the lifeguard side. So my supervisor comes over. "This lifeguard won't let my child swim in the pool. She gave him a life jacket that was choking him and then dragged him out of the pool without my permission. Your child is too short." "But he's on a swim team. If he can swim, he shouldn't have to wear one." Now, I'd been having the same conversation over and over for 45 minutes at this point. My supervisor asked her to give him a minute and moved to the side to talk to me. Sometimes, if the children are near the correct height, we let them swim if there are no adequate life jackets and they seem like strong swimmers, and have a reliable adult with them. So my supervisor decides to extend this privilege to entitled mother. "Thank you. I can't believe it took this long for you to see sense. I hope she gets written up at the very least for ruining my son's day." She was doing her job. but I'm sorry if it made things difficult for you. Entitled mother goes back to chatting with her friends, and her son runs happily back to the slide, where he nearly drowned once already, and slides down it, and sure enough, he starts drowning. But I'm not allowed to rescue her son because he can swim, right? He's on a swim team. He's great. I'm actually about to jump in when my supervisor stops me and gets the mum's attention. "Ma'am, your son is drowning." Entitled mother rolling her eyes and walking over to the edge of the pool. He is not. He's swimming fine. By this point, the son has moved from distressed swimming to active drowning. His mouth is bobbling up and down over the water, his eyes are wide, arms desperately grabbing for something, but he isn't moving anywhere. And no, none of the other patrons noticed because they were all doing their own thing. And drowning is very quiet and uneventful. Now I'm getting antsy. I don't want a kid drowning on my watch, even if I don't have permission from the parent to rescue them. Entitled mother's friends comes over to see what's going on, gets wide-eyed and gasps, and the entitled mother falls into hysterics. "What are you doing? Don't just stand there, do something, save him!" Despite my now anger, I need no second bidding. I jump in, grab the poor kid, for a second time, and pull him out. Please put a life jacket on him next time, or take him to the children's area, where he can swim wherever he likes without one. Didn't even say thank you, just shot me a dirty look, signed the incident report, and hauled her shivering child away. Edit. A lot of people are doubting the legitimacy of this story, which fair. If someone is doing something illegal and life-threatening, law enforcement should be called. That being said, on a day when a relatively small water park is filled with 6,000 people, situations like this can end up being the least of our concerns. As upsetting as it is, it was handled. The child was safe the entire time. He struggled for a bit, but he took in no water. He didn't slip below the surface of the water, and we sent him to a medic just to be safe. I've seen dozens of supervisors, lifeguards, and swim teachers do very similar things. If I kick someone out of the park, which I can't do, a supervisor or my manager has to do it, every time they endangered someone or even did something illegal in endangering, I wouldn't have time to actually ensure people don't drown, as crazy as that sounds. Anyway, the entitled mother didn't bother us again. The child would have learned to be more careful where he swims, and she didn't complain because she had no grounds to. This reminds me of a very stupid decision I made when I was a kid. I was probably only around 7 at the time, and I couldn't swim. I was at the swimming pool with my cousin, and she dared me to jump into the deep end. So I did, and then I realised what a horrible mistake I'd made. The funniest part about it though is, as in this story they say that drowning is quiet and uneventful, it's entirely true. I was panicking, struggling, and trying to reach the edge of the pool when I made eye contact with a lifeguard who looked at me for maybe a solid 2 seconds and then walked on. So I had to save myself. I've actually had a few near drowning stories. Another one is when I tried to do a handstand underwater and for some reason I couldn't find my way back to the surface. On that occasion my big brother came to my rescue though, so I'm still here. Don't like my food? Here, have the hottest hot sauce in the world. Oh, Merc Chef is at it again. My girlfriend has an a-hole of a father. Her mother is wonderful, but her dad is a screwball. She knows how I feel and is thankfully very understanding and keeps him and my interactions to a minimum. However, last week I moved into my first apartment in Seattle and my girlfriend brought her parents over for dinner. When I served plates of salmon and potatoes that I was very proud of, her father proclaimed after barely taking a bite that it was tasteless and embarrassing. He then demanded some hot sauce. I happen to be sort of an odd collector and like to keep the extremes of different things. I have Black Insomnia coffee, the world's strongest coffee, Spiritus Rectifica Wani, 96% alcohol, and most importantly, Mad Dog 357, which is the strongest hot sauce you can buy. The Scoville scale rates food spiciness, and for reference, the Carolina Reaper is 1.56 million Scoville units. The Mad Dog is 9 million Scoville units. So here is the preceding conversation. Sorry, the only one I have is way too hot. I'm not like you, I can handle it, bring it here. No, I mean it's actually... Just bring me the effing sauce so I can stomach this food. Malicious compliance activated. Sure, I'll get it for you. D-Head then douses one of his potatoes in it and smugly takes a bite. The kick hits him almost immediately, and without saying anything he gets up to go into the fridge. It's very clear he's in pain but he's trying to hide it. Girlfriend understood what was going on. Are you alright, Dad? He was obviously looking for milk in the fridge, and here's the kicker. I'm lactose intolerant, there is no milk in my apartment. Without saying anything, he collected his belongings and left. Girlfriend and I had a good laugh explaining what happened to her mum, and we enjoyed the good food I made in peace. Bull too fast? Okay, I'll slow down. Please excuse formatting issues, I'm typing with my nose. The mechanical bull at my work is manually operated, with different settings. Normally, I set it to something reasonable, like if it's a fat kid, I make it go slow, if it's a 6-year-old who scrambles on and starts showboating, I'll set it faster, etc. Generally, I'll ask how fast a guest wants it, but it's also important to note that it's not easy if it's your first time, so if you ask for a medium, I'll set it there, but it's nonetheless a fairly brisk pace. On to the story. One guest, probably around 8 or 10, asked to go slow, and I set it to the higher end of the beginner settings. She fell off almost immediately, and I did my usual spiel of asking if she wants to try again, so as not to wait in line again. Her time was like 3 seconds, but slower, and she screamed and ran to her mum. Okay, I think, that's that. That, it would turn out, was not that. The guest's mum comes stomping up and asks what the hell I did. Explanation ensued, as did apologies. Evidently errors were assigned. I agreed to let the guest go again, this time with the shouted stipulation, slow. So, slow I went. So sluggishly and sadly slow did the bull go. It cuts off automatically in 30 seconds, and by that time it had barely made a full rotation, when on any other setting it would be moving quite briskly. 1 rotation in half a second or less. The entire time the guest was stone-faced and merely glared at me as she got off the inflatable. The guest's mother complained to management, who found no issues. Okay, so that's all for r/MaliciousCompliance. I really hope you did enjoy it. As always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.